ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to W.M.S.T episode number 28. Let's introduce you to tonight's cast. We've got the returning Tyler. What up, Tyler?
The Browns are gonna win the Super Bowl.
I just want them in the playoffs, man.
Hey, I mean, honestly, I can see that happening. 16-0 and Super Bowl. Let's get it.
I'm just kidding. I just want 9 wins. That's all.
What a good season.
Just give me 9
Please.
wins. And we've got your weirdo and my favorite weirdo, Cam.
Your favorite weirdo and mine is going to take a while to get used to, but
Yeah.
Anyway, drink water.
True. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but I think we'll get there. And we've got the editor-in-chief, Ziggler. What up, Ziggler?
Save water, drink beer. Well, yeah, what's up?
No,
What
drink water because it gives you clear skin.
I agree with Cam. You gotta drink water. It's healthy.
Drink water, you stupid bitch.
Yeah.
Hey, it's James Storm, okay?
Yeah, and I think everybody
James
here is...
Storm.
Sorry about your damn luck.
So I think everybody here is under 21, so we can't even advocate for beer.
Right, I can't drink.
I can drink, just not legally. But I do it all the time.
Just don't tell anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, shit. I was kidding.
Shit.
All right.
Oh, wait.
All right, let's get started. with
Come
this
find me,
week's
motherfuckers.
episode. All right, let's get started with this week's episode. We're going to talk Hobbs and Shawn. We're going to do our spoiler talk this week. It's Summerslam weekend, so we're going to talk Summerslam. We're going to talk some WWE 2K news and much more. All right, so let's get started with Hobbs and Shaw spoiler talk. Tyler had the chance to see the movie last week, so Tyler, give us your spoiler thoughts on Hobbs and Shaw, and then we'll go from there. Go ahead.
Hobbs and Shaw was a movie, yeah. It wasn't the best movie. It wasn't the best Fast and Furious movie, but it had its moments. I guess my favorite parts was the surprise cameos from Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart. That just kind of came out of nowhere. I enjoyed that. Ooh. Yeah, spoiler talk. But other than that, I really like Jason Statham and The Rock's chemistry. Obviously, they've been in a couple of these movies now together. But I don't really have too many thoughts on the movie. It wasn't my favorite of the year. If I had to rank it, probably a 6 out of 10.
So 6 out of 10. All right. And as for my spoiler thoughts on the movie, as you guys know, I enjoyed it. Of course, it was very thin on the plot and stuff like that, but I think overall it was a pretty enjoyable movie.
This movie is paper thin on plot.
Yeah, but I think this one especially, it was just ridiculous on all levels. Like, you had Idris Elba, Black Superman, genetically enhanced robot who was brought back from the dead and turned into a robot to seek out the snowflake virus. So you already, in the first 15 minutes, you'll be like, yeah, I know what I'm getting into. So yeah, that was the big thing. And yeah, like Tyler mentioned, the cameos were really cool. Ryan Reynolds as Agent Locke, who's apparently who used to be best friends with Hobbs. So they had some good back and forth. His end credit scenes where he does the Game of Thrones spoilers and just trashes Game of Thrones was pretty funny. And he actually punches a guy with the brick. Actually stabs a guy with a brick, which he talked about earlier in the movie. So that was pretty funny. Kevin Hart also had a brief cameo, not as significant as Ryan Reynolds. I feel like his cameo was like a one-off for this movie. He helps Hobbs and Shaw get to Hawaii. I feel like Ryan Reynolds' character Agent Locke is probably going to be in a sequel for this movie, or maybe even Fast 9. I feel like his character was set up that way because at the end he said there's another virus that he was preventing from being stolen. And now the big reveal was that there was this secret AI machine that was behind Idris Elba's character's creation.
Paul Walker.
Well, that's the funny thing. I have been thinking of a few scenarios that who it could be.
What if this would be the introduction for Cena in the franchise? Because he is going to be a part of 9.
True, that is
Cena
actually
versus Rock 3.
Once in a lifetime, bitch.
Yeah, that is actually one of my more long shot choices for who that secret voice Etion. That's the name of the voice. Who it could be could possibly be John Cena, since he's a new character in the universe, and it could end up being him. I was thinking over the weekend.
He'll probably just be a part of the actual crew, so that's a long shot.
Yeah, that could be it too. I was thinking, well, now that you mention it, maybe it could be Han, since he was killed by, supposedly killed by Shaw, but like we saw him kind of dying in Fast 7, but like we actually never saw him completely die. Maybe he survived,
the car
and maybe
blew up in Tokyo Drift. So
That man
yeah,
dead.
well,
You know who didn't die? Paul Walker's character.
yeah, that's true.
Brian O'Connor
Not the man, not the man himself, but Paul Walker's character,
They're gonna
Brian
CGI
O'Connor.
him in with his brother.
Yep, they did it for Fast 7.
Well, that was for like a brief, like a goodbye, but I don't think.
Hey, his one of his brothers look exactly like him, so.
Yeah, I
don't
guess,
think it
but
would be right to
bring him back as a villain. Yeah, like,
but it'd be cool.
It would be cool,
It'll be
but
cool.
I think because Ziggler, not everybody's as bold as you, so I don't think they would be bold enough to even pull that off, honestly. So that's why
no one has balls today.
Yeah, true. So I don't think that's a possibility. The other one that I think is a possibility, it's a kind of an obvious one, is Cypher from Fast 8, since she obviously didn't die. Yeah, like she didn't die. Maybe she came back as Etion. That's a possibility. And
but she's in Game of Thrones, and Ryan Reynolds mentioned Game of Thrones, but what's going on? Okay.
There's different universes.
It's a different universe.
Yeah, but if she's in Game of Thrones and her and Ryan Reynolds meet, then they're like, hey, aren't you in Game of Thrones? Like, what the fuck? No. But okay.
If it was
a nod, but
if it was Deadpool Ryan Reynolds, that would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, breaking that fourth wall.
Yeah. And finally, the one I think is probably Etion is probably somebody brand new. Like, I heard rumors a few months ago that they were in talks with Keanu Reeves to appear in a Fast and Furious movie.
Oh my goodness!
I mean,
something.
Imagine if it was actually a big actor that we haven't seen before in Fast and Furious. Maybe he has a connection with Hobbs, since the voice did say that Hobbs and that person has a connection. So maybe it's a character we haven't seen before, and there's a backstory there.
A connection with Hobbs? Paul Walker.
True. Ziggler's gonna.
Gag.
Yeah. We'll see if Ziggler is right, But yeah, my overall rating for this movie, I feel like, has gone down. I gave it initially an 8 out of 10, but I feel like overall, it's a fun action movie, thin on the plot, but I think because of its ridiculous action scenes and whatnot, I think you can just enjoy it. So I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Was Roman mainly just a cameo character?
Yeah,
he didn't have
pretty
any
much
lines.
a cameo.
Yeah, he didn't have a line. Yeah,
he didn't have a line, but he did get to do the Samoan drop, and he did the spear in the movie. So that was pretty cool to see.
And he also had
a Samoan drop.
Yeah,
big deal.
I think so.
I must have missed that and all that crazy action scenes.
Yeah, it was fast, but I think you definitely missed it. Yeah.
There's too much shit going on.
Yeah. And so yeah, 7.5 for me. And Ziggler, what are your spoiler thoughts on Hobbs and Shaw?
Well, my favorite part of the movie was hands down Ryan Reynolds. He was fucking hilarious. And But yeah, every time he's on screen, I just think like, yeah, that's Deadpool, because he really is Deadpool. He's Wade Wilson, it's true. And it was hilarious when he got the Rock tattoo. That shit was funny as
Oh
hell.
yeah, I did see a photo earlier of him with it. So
Yeah.
that was my spoiler.
Yeah, but yeah. Other than that, I don't know. My score has gone down too, so I'll give it my new score, which is a 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. Wow.
What'd
So
you rank it before?
6 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So Tyler gave it a 6, and
I
Ziggler
don't know.
gave
It
it a
just
5.
it was just pretty bland, and I don't know. It just doesn't have rewatchability.
Yeah.
Like I've seen it once, and I'm like, yeah, I really don't want to watch it again.
Yeah. So yeah, last week our
That's how
score
I
was
felt
7.
with the 8th movie, to be honest.
And it really has nothing to do with like any of the other franchise at all.
Yeah, they have like a references here and there, but it's kind of its own
Yeah.
thing in its own
And
bubble.
I don't know. Like none of the characters like really like. I don't know. I just didn't really like care for any of the characters. Like I didn't like any of them really. They were pretty boring. And the one character that was actually interesting and funny was Ryan Reynolds' Locke. He was funny as hell. I wanted him to be in the whole movie.
Yeah. I guess he's being set up for the sequel, hopefully.
If
So, yeah.
he's in a sequel, then I'll definitely watch it because of him. But other than that, I'm not. I
It'll
don't want to see
probably
it.
make money, so yes, there's gonna be a sequel.
He was
Is this movie
he was
making money?
he was most likely in it because it's the same director as Deadpool 2. A lot of
Yeah.
Deadpool 2 actors were in this movie, so
Yeah.
like Peter was in it.
Yeah. Right. That makes sense to me. Yeah. So our overall score for Hobbs and Shaw after this week is 6 out of 10.
Is this movie making any money?
Too high.
It hasn't been released
Is
in
it?
China yet, but it's projected to make around 750 apparently, or 850
I haven't
million.
looked at it.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's tracking
it-
towards that.
yeah.
So not quite a billion, but
Yeah.
still a lot of
I
money.
mean, it's not beating Endgame.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
of course,
no-
duh.
Hobbs and Shaw, number one. Grossing
nothing-
movie of all
movie
time.
in the world.
Nothing anytime soon will beat Endgame.
Yeah.
Actually,
Star Wars might make
No,
Star
there's
Wars
no
Rise
way.
of Skywalker will
Hell
not beat
no.
Endgame.
Oh, hell
It's not
no.
beating Endgame, but it'll probably make a dent.
Definitely not.
No, it will not.
Or some
Nobody
kind of
cares
budget.
about Star Wars.
I bet you it might cross 1 billion, but that's it. It might cross 1 billion.
I think
I'm
it'll
Yeah,
cross
predicting.
1
$1 billion,
billion
yeah.
at best.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even predicting Rise of Skywalker doesn't even crack 1 billion. That's how much I think people don't like Star Wars anymore.
I mean, I really don't like it anymore, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be a cool thing. It used to be fun and stuff, but not really anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So y'all want to talk some SummerSlam?
Sure.
Yeah.
Tyler's
Finally,
out,
we're
but
talking
yeah.
wrestling
I'm so
again.
excited, yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler's
we've got-
excited, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got SummerSlam this weekend, so it should be a pretty fun weekend. Let's go through the card, and you guys will let me know which match you're looking forward to the most.
All right.
All
yeah,
right.
let's
So
hear it.
we've got Drew Gulak versus Oni Larkin for the Cruiserweight Championship.
Gonna
We've
be a
got-
hell of a match.
True, should be a really fun in-ring match. And we've got Finn
Should be a good
Balor
match.
versus we've got Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt, aka The Fiend, making his debut. And we've got Bayley versus Ember Moon for the SmackDown Women's Championship. We've got AJ Styles versus Ricochet for the United States Championship. We've got Becky Lynch versus Natalya for the Raw Women's Championship. And we've got a grudge match between Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler. Not much of a grudge match, but still should be a pretty fun match. We've got Trish Stratus versus Charlotte Flair, a dream match for a lot of people. We've got Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. We've got Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon. And finally, we've got the likely main event, Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins. Personally speaking, this card is pretty much straight up. There isn't like a match that's like that has a wow factor. And there's no multi-man match on the card, which is actually kind of surprising now that I think about it. I guess the match I'm looking forward to the most would probably be Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler, only because of the intrigue factor. I'm actually really intrigued as to how this match will play out. It might end up being Goldberg's best match in WWE since WrestleMania 33 against Lesnar. So yeah, it should honestly be a pretty fun card. I feel like WWE always produces great pay-per-views. Raw and SmackDown are like but I feel like their pay-per-views are top quality. So it should be another fun SummerSlam. And Cam, which match are you looking forward to the most?
I might just go through the whole card. AJ Ricochet, they did have a good match at the last show, so I expect them to do good again. The one match that I'm really intrigued in is the not Kofi Bryant, not having a WrestleMania, Kofi Randy Orton, just for the continuity and the history of it. Another match, Bray Wyatt really needs this win against Balor. This is a new character for him. He can't lose this match. Goldberg and DZ is probably going to go 10 seconds. If it'll go longer than a minute, I'll be shocked. Wait, did you mention Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens?
I did, yeah.
Kevin's probably going to win. This might ride off Shane for a while. Charlotte and Trish. I've been saying this a lot lately. If this would have been a match that they would have done if they were doing another Evolution show, but since they're probably not going to do another one, they're going to do it here. And it's honestly better to do it here because it's a big stage. Lesnar Rollins is probably going to be like I'm picturing a Cena Lesnar 2014 match again. I call that the Death of Superman match. And Bailey and Ember should be a really good women's match. And Natty and Becky, I'm picturing them redoing the Austin and Brett sharpshooter spot. Like, I'm just picturing it in my head, but how is she gonna bleed?
Wait, you have Natalia winning?
No, I don't have Natty winning. Becky's gonna retain.
Then how's it gonna be
I just keep
Bret
picturing it in
Hart
my
won
head.
with that move?
Like, I just keep picturing the spot in my head, but then I keep thinking, oh yeah, Becky's not winning. Becky's not losing this match.
Okay.
But honestly, Becky does need this match after coming off of 3 straight Lacey Evans matches. This might be her best match of the entire reign.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Overall,
Lacey feud was bad.
What do you think about a
Overall-
possibility of Sasha Banks coming back to attack Becky?
I want that match badly. If Natty wasn't going to be the number 1 contender, I was hoping for a Sasha Banks feud. Just let that be a one shining saving grace of her entire reign.
True. And
Overall, SummerSlam should be fun.
yeah, that's true. It should be a fun pay-per-view. And Ziggler, your thoughts on the card and which match you're looking forward to the most?
Yeah, it's gonna be alright probably. I mean, mostly looking forward to TakeOver because I love NXT, but SummerSlam should be fun. There are quite a few matches that could easily steal the show, so really hoping that they pull out all the stops. But yeah, I'm really pissed off that there is no tag team matches, like no tag team titles. It just really grinds my gears. I mean, I love the tag team division. And they just treat the tag team titles like dog shit, which really annoys me. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing AEW has been saying
Switched
like
out to put the tag team titles on. Like you could have switched out Trish Stratus and Charlotte, or Goldberg and Ziggler.
Right.
It's just annoying to me. Like, we really don't need Goldberg and Ziggler. Like, who wants that match?
Right.
I mean, it's literally just going to be two moves. Jackhammer, or spear and a jackhammer. That's probably going to be it. And that main event, a legend main event, the Rollins versus Lesnar, it's probably going to be like 2 minutes, probably. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. What do you guys think? It's going to be long?
I could see maybe like a 10-minute match, but I think 2 minutes is like realistic.
Yeah, I don't see it going long. I just see it like, because Seth Rollins' character is already injured, so it's like, is he really gonna put up a tough fight against him? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So it would make sense if it was like if it was 100%, then it could be like a tough fight, like a CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar. But he's not 100% in his character, so I mean his character's not 100%, so
under a minute.
What? Yeah,
probably
most
gonna
likely.
go under a minute. Like, WrestleMania was like shorter than WrestleMania.
Yeah.
If
then
this
how
were
is
a
that
Hoodie
main
Q
event?
match, quote unquote main event, since
Yeah.
it was the opener, it was shite.
I would make the main event Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton, because they have a real feud. Like, this can
An
be like,
actual
if they
good
do this
story.
right, this can be like a great blood feud. Like, it's like a real grudge match, really. And I think this should main event, definitely. And have the WWE Championship, have the WWE Champion main event, actually, pay-per-view. That'd be great.
Because
And
usually the world title doesn't main event.
yeah, it's usually always the Universal title, and WWE Championship should main event some shows, like, like.
Like, I
Anyways.
get that that the Universal title is on your main brand, but what about the title that's had the most history?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm also looking forward to Ember versus Bayley. I really think Ember Moon is gonna win. Hopefully she does. She's one of my favorites on the main roster, so hoping she wins. And that Oni Lorcan versus Drew Gulak, former tag team, I believe, and yeah, they're a former tag team, I believe. So yeah, I hope they're most likely going to be on the kickoff show, and yeah, that's all right, I guess. But it's going to be one of the best matches on the card, even though it's going to be on the kickoff. Unfortunately, it is. It really shouldn't be on the kickoff.
20 minutes on the kickoff versus like maybe 5 minutes on main card. I would take that over the main card.
There was one time though
that like, the crowd hot.
There was one time that the cruiserweights, like, I believe it was like Buddy Murphy and maybe Mustafa Ali were like on the main card. Was that right?
Survivor Series.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. They got like 12, 13 minutes. I mean, they can still do that. It's a long show, so
It was probably not gonna be like WrestleMania long.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
It's gonna be like 4 hours, maybe 4.5.
Because their shows that aren't Mania, they're usually like 3 to 4 hours. And I just forgot about the Royal Rumble, which was like 8 hours also.
Oh yeah, that was long as hell. But this is one of their 4 main shows, so it's gonna be a long one, folks. And also, I really wish the Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon was like a no holds barred or whatever, because that would have been cool. But it's just a regular match, and I don't know if I want to see Shane in a regular match. I just want to see people get fucked
Shane's
up.
not a wrestler.
Yeah, exactly. He's more of like a hardcore wrestler, as you would say, maybe. I don't know.
He's barely trained, and
yeah.
They might end up doing that. They might end up doing that AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon spot from WrestleMania 33 and have the referee be knocked out, and then they'll do their hardcore spots.
I forgot about that. That match was
I
actually
think that could
really
end up
good, and
happening.
yet everybody hated that just for AJ working with Shane.
Right? They could have just
And yet it was
easily
one of the
made
best
this
matches of
match.
that night.
Right? They could have easily made this match like an Extreme Rules match.
That was I was actually there live, and it was a pretty good match if I'm not mistaken. That was one of my favorite matches of the night when I was there. It was fun. It was even though it
Excellent
was
opener.
yeah, it was a great opener, but yeah, also yeah, but also like the real like on the main card, the real show stealer, well, potential show stealer is definitely AJ Styles because of Ricochet. I mean, if they actually go all out in this match, like finally go all out, pull out all the stops, but like on like a 20-25 minute classic, it would be fucking awesome. I would love that because they're two of the best wrestlers in the world right now. So yeah,
I mean, sure, the Extreme Rules match wasn't bad, but just give them time. Don't let Gallows and Anderson
yeah.
get involved. And it could probably match 2016 with Cena.
Hell, I would love if that main evented too because that'd be cool. Just have something different main event. I don't want to see Brock Lesnar in the main event again. I really don't.
Then you
So,
probably loved WrestleMania because he did
yeah.
main event.
Yeah, he was on the he kicked off the show, which was good. But yeah, but the main event of WrestleMania kind of sucked. So, it's kind of a it's yeah.
What do you mean?
I
You
was
didn't like the
looking at my
ending?
phone and looking at the time.
The main event the WrestleMania main event should have been Bryan and Kofi, no doubt.
It should have, but
yeah.
in all honesty, if you're gonna do a women's main event, then you're gonna do it here.
Yeah, but at least just do like Becky and Ronda, not Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda. Anyways,
Right.
we discussed
Charlotte
that a
was
lot.
weird outlier to the whole.
We discussed that too many times on this podcast. Anyways, Syed.
That's in the archives if you want to look at them.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, and Shawn is here.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
the ladies' man is here, Shawn. Welcome to the show.
Oh, boy.
What's up? What's up?
Joining in the middle of the recording.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yo, so SummerSlam. Have you seen the card? Which match are you looking forward to the most?
For me, I'm really looking forward to Shane and Owens because their Hell in a Cell match was fucking awesome, and I think that they could have an awesome match too. And I really want Owens to get that awesome push. And Kofi and Randy, I'm actually really excited for. And that's it.
Yeah, sounds good. Should
There's
be a
nothing
fun.
else.
Yeah, should be a fun SummerSlam weekend. And you can check out last week's video for if you want to hear our thoughts on NXT Takeover Toronto. So we previewed that last week. All right, so moving on to our next topic. This is a mini topic I wanted to cover real quick. There's been a lot of reports saying Vince McMahon has been rewriting SmackDown for the past 3 weeks, like in a really weird fashion. Like apparently, like take this week for example, the show you saw on this week was written 2 hours before the show went on air. And apparently only 1 hour of the show was written, and then the second half of the show was done on the fly. Like apparently, Sami Zayn versus Aleister Black was going to be part of the SummerSlam card, but ended up being put on SmackDown instead because of the rewrite.
They probably did that and the women's tag title match just to not make SummerSlam go crazy long.
Right.
That was my guess.
Yeah, and I think the rewrites also had something to do with that. And I kind of find these rewrites to be a bit ridiculous because, first of all, there isn't a room for improvisation in Vince McMahon's WWE. So the fact that a lot of the wrestlers have to learn their lines and produce the match within 2 hours
Basically
before
on the
show
fly.
Right. And you have to be in the constraints of Vince McMahon. It's like, that's crazy to me. Like, but it's still pretty cool that the shows turn out to be as coherent as they have been.
Like,
Just imagine
Yeesh.
competent writing and actually not rewriting the show every hour. The shows would be so much better. Cam, what are your thoughts on this development?
Like they've been rewriting the shows for several months now. Like an example that I keep going back to whenever I think of rewrites is the Charlotte and Asuka match, the SmackDown episode with the Asuka and Charlotte match for the women's title that Charlotte won. That was a rewrite, and that was literally one of my least favorite moments of the year. Like, stick with something and don't touch it. Another episode thing that they did recently was they promoted a New Day versus OC tag match, All Champions tag match, and then they rewrote it to just Kofi versus AJ. Just don't touch it. Just stick with it. People will be fine with it. People will go back to it. Just don't touch it. Not enough with the 11th hour stuff. Usually people hate the 11th hour stuff. Like, oh, so you promote this and then you decide to change it when there's literally an hour until the show? Are you joking me?
Yeah, that's actually, you actually brought up a really good point. I almost forgot about that. They would do false advertisement. They would announce a match on Twitter or Instagram, and then when you actually see the show, the match is completely gone without any mention. And I know it's card subject to change, but the fact that you have the same wrestlers on the card, but then you change up the match without, I mean, uh, that's bait and switch 101, really. And I think that's one of the reasons a lot of the audience has lost trust in the product, and one of the bigger reasons why the ratings are down, because you honestly can't trust them to deliver on their promises anymore.
Meanwhile, this is the same thing that they poke fun at WCW for. Like, they would change their shows ahead of time or even during the show, and they're doing the exact same thing. Like, I literally remember them watching a network doc for it, one of those Monday Night War network docs, and they poke fun at them improvising at the same during the show or before it, and then they're doing it now.
Right. So true. And Ziggler, what are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I see the reports that they're always like changing it and shit, and I don't know. I mean, it's just Vince doing Vince, I guess, and it really doesn't matter to me. I mean, because we probably will never know what like the original plans were, so it really doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. I mean, as long as the product turns out to be good, but most of the time it's not that good, and that's why I mentioned about how SmackDown and Raw have been kind of like meh, but the pay-per-views have always been solid this year. All right, so moving on to our next topic. This is another mini wrestling topic that I forgot to cover next week, but should probably give a quick mention. AEW's weekly TV details were released a few weeks ago. They're going to be doing their weekly show on Wednesday nights on TNT from 7 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. So kind of like basically Smackdown, but like we thought it was going to be Tuesday nights, but it's going to be Wednesday night. And
wait, did you say 7 to 10?
Yeah.
That's 3 hours.
Oh, never mind. I mean 7 to 9. Sorry, I got confused.
Yeah, 7 to 9. That's 2 hours.
It's actually a typo on the article I read it from, so I guess that makes more sense. 7 to 9, because I did hear that it's going to be a 2 hour like Smackdown is. Another report says that NXT is going to be airing their weekly show on FS1, basically going head to head with AEW. And I do kind of find it weird, since NXT is more of a development brand, but it would make more sense if more main roster wrestlers were appearing on NXT, and maybe they were trying to like, here's a report I heard. Maybe they're trying to make a dent in AEW's rating rather than try to impact it completely. Like, they aren't able to move SmackDown to Wednesday nights or do anything like that. But NXT moving to FS1 kind of makes sense to me. Ziggler, what are your thoughts on this?
About the AEW or NXT to FS1?
Both.
I've heard the reports about like the NXT to FS1. It's gonna be like trying to make like a live like 2-hour NXT show. That's what I've been wanting for years. So if they actually do that, if they actually like have a weekly 2-hour NXT live show, I that would be just great. That'd be awesome. I've been asking and wanting that for years because I love NXT TV. That's the best thing on the network. That's the best thing every week, pretty much, that WWE offers. So yeah, I can't wait for that. And AEW, it's good. It's going to be 2 hours and not 3, because 3 hours is just too long, and Raw needs to change to 2 hours because 3 hours is just too long, and I get sleepy. So it's good. It's going to be a 2-hour show. It's going to be 7 to 9 Eastern or Central?
Yeah, so my bad. I don't know why this article said 7 EST. So it's gonna be 8 EST to 10 EST, which makes way more sense.
Wait,
Oh,
7
yeah,
8 to 10? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
So yeah, like SmackDown. But yeah, that'd be great. But again, NXT is on Wednesday too. And if they do the FS1 thing like every Wednesday from 8 to 10, that's gonna be fun. Having NXT and AEW on the same night, that's gonna be fucking awesome. So hopefully that happens.
Yeah. I think I personally, I'm just gonna stick to watching AEW on TNT because I have the net. If I have the network, I can just watch NXT later on.
Yeah.
And on top of that, if I have Hulu, I can also watch NXT on that. So it's like,
Yeah.
and I won't be able to watch AEW on demand. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty easy choice for me to watch AEW. But I guess
Well, if it
WWE's
gets on FS1, then just record one of them,
Right, exactly. Also, FS1 is in less homes too, so it's not gonna make that much of a difference. But I guess WWE's thought process is do as much as possible to disrupt AEW's momentum, because even though they don't look at them as competition, their actions have been speaking very differently. It's like they do look at them as competition.
They've been saying that, but it's pretty obvious that they do.
Like, everything is fine. Oh shit, everything is not fine.
Right.
It's pretty fucking obvious they're competing, even though they're saying they're not. It's obvious.
Yeah. Yo, Tyler, are you gonna watch AEW when it gets on air in October?
Maybe. You guys will have to remind me.
It's on the 2nd, I think, right?
Yeah, October 2nd.
October 2nd.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, and Shawn, you got any thoughts on this?
About AEW and NXT competing?
Yeah.
Yeah, when they say like it makes everyone better, and it's just like, and like they're not competition after everything that's been like pointed out. It's clearly competition because they know, like they don't think. I mean, we might not think they're listening, but they are fucking listening in on this, and they know how the fans feel about this, and they know the hype around it. So, yeah, it's definitely competition, and I think with the current state of NXT right now, it's gonna be hard to It's gonna be like a pretty even match, but I think AEW is gonna prevail over NXT.
Yeah, sounds good, man. And Cam, what are your thoughts on this?
AEW on Wednesdays, it's actually a good idea because you can't compete with WWE on Monday and Tuesdays now, yet they're moving SmackDown to Friday, so can't compete with them. So it'll be better to just do it on Wednesday. And as for NXT on FS1, it would be great exposure, but NXT works better in a taped environment. They tape all their shows weeks in advance. So they have time to edit. They have time to They have time to edit. They have time to clip to fuse fuse the shows any way that they want to, because they do it all in one taped show and they piece together what they want for their weekly shows. Like they have Io Shirai and Shayna Baszler and Steel Cage on this episode, and then another taped episode they show Io Shirai's heel turn while showing the hype for Adam and Johnny. And they will do that and then they will do that, put it together for the coming weeks. If you do that, if you take that away, you can actually show the exposure and cracks for NXT. They've been working with the taped environment for years, and that's why it's so good.
Yeah, but it's not good because like we always get spoiled for that shit, and it sucks. Like when Velveteen Dream won the North American title, I would have loved to see that live, you know. And with Io Shirai turned heel, I would have loved to see that live and not get spoiled for it, but you do, and it happens like a few weeks like on TV, and it sucks.
That's a downside to the tapings, yes. But it's still going to show the cracks and the problems in its exterior.
Right. I see what you're saying, because when they go live and they go add another hour to the programming, it's going to definitely it might overexpose them, and that's
But
gonna be
what
the
about
real
your
test.
takeovers though? Those are like 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Right, but
Those
deserve
go
to be 2.5
those go
hours just for the
perfectly
match.
fine.
well, those are like pay-per-views, so you can't really
Yeah,
compare
they're
pay-per-views
pay-per-views.
to weekly TV. I mean,
Yeah, all right, whatever.
yeah,
Unless they're going to combine the two, let's say the two taping episodes in one. So they're going to have a lot of time and effort to try and structure it.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of taping, so yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
I just like to watch it live, I guess. But yeah, well, not everyone's like that, but that's okay.
Yeah. All right. So with that, let's move on to our final topic for reals this time. WWE 2K cover athletes were announced for WWE 2K19. It's Becky Lynch and Roman Reigns, which is a pretty cool cover, honestly. I know a lot of people are hoping for Becky solo, but I think this is a way better option. Finally getting Reigns on the cover too. But the other big development came out this week is that Ukes, which is a long-time developer for WWE games, won't be working on WWE 2K20 this year, because they have actually been working on WWE games for the last 18 to 20 years. And this year, Visual Concepts, who does NBA 2K gameplay, will get to uh, work on the game themselves without Ukes' help. So I personally think they have a chance to do something different, because one of the big complaints that have been with the recent 2K games have been that it's been very slow and too methodical. And I get that a lot of people just want that arcade style of just pick it and play it and just the ridiculousness. So since this is probably the last 2K on the current gen, I'm thinking they're probably just gonna um, do their best to. I think it's gonna be pretty similar to last year's game, but I think they might try to make the gameplay a little bit faster and put a little bit less restraints on the extreme rules situations, like have more freedom in the Hell in a Cell and whatnot. So I don't know. It's a pretty interesting development, and hopefully the My Career is also as good as last year's My Career. We had the announcement that there's going to be female My Career mode in this game too. So I think that's pretty cool as well. It's definitely a long time coming. And the 2K Showcase mode is going to have Sasha, Banks, Bailey, Charlotte, and Becky's rise to fame in the Four Horsewomen 2K Showcase. I was kind of hoping for a Roman Reigns showcase since he's also on the cover, but apparently there's going to be a whole 2K tower related to Roman Reigns. So hopefully that has some cutscenes and voice work on there too. So we'll see more news as it comes along for NBA WWE 2K20. Cam, what are your thoughts on Yuke's parting ways with 2K?
The one developer that's responsible for some of the greatest wrestling games of all time are now departing. They're responsible for Shut Your Mouth, Here Comes the Pain, 2000 SVR07, 2010, 2011, even 2K4, even 13 and 2K14. It's kind of an end of an era, but it's kind of warranted because the games are getting slower and more redundant, and there's glitches aplenty. So this should be the breath of fresh air that the game series needs. Now for the cover, this isn't the first time that they've had a woman on the video games. For the mainline games that go all the way back to Smackdown 1 on the PlayStation 1, Chyna was the first woman on the cover. Then Tori Wilson on Here Comes the Pain and SmackDown vs. Raw 7. It wasn't the first time that a woman was on the cover. Sure, for the 2K series, but not overall. I'm hoping that this game is actually a lot more interesting. You said that you hope the game gets a lot faster. I'm hoping for that too. It's kind of like 2K14 where it has a nice little balance of speed and the realism. So that's what I've been wanting. Like, you don't gotta mess with the graphics. After 2K18, you don't need to mess with the graphics. So just mess with the gameplay. As for my career is actually going to be. I actually hope that it actually does a lot of good stuff. I'm actually hoping it's a continuation of the 2K19 My Career. In fact, as a little fun idea, if you have a save state for 2K19, you can actually transfer that over. That would have been an interesting idea. Now, I would go on and delve into a whole bunch of stuff that I would want in a game, but that would take an ice age. But let's just conclude with this. Instead of screaming about divas, scream about logo space.
Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you liked it, please like, share, and subscribe. And click the channel for more videos and see our recent uploads and our interviews with guys like @JordanJomo from Instagram and the Wrestling Classic. Again, thank you for your support, and we'll keep on delivering outstanding content for you all.